next guest is the Prime Minister of Norway, a country that's seen just 235 deaths from coronavirus. After a very early lockdown, much of Norway is now reopening, and Erna Solbery has joined a growing list of female leaders to win praise. Erna Solbery joins me live from Oslo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. And I know you went into lockdown very, very quickly in early March, also shut borders. Do you think that is the key to the relatively low number of deaths that you've experienced?
Well, I think it's difficult to say just which of the measures we made were the most significant. I think still social distancing, people taking action in their own life is the most important part to make sure that we stop the disease from spreading. But it's I think we had a large influx of people coming back from Austria and northern Italy from ski holidays. We had a large number. I think we were number 4 in the world in the beginning of March with people who were infected. And when we closed down, we did that before it really moved in our society. It was imported. People who came from the outside, we managed to put them in quarantine, and I think it's a lot of different measures we did, and I don't think I want to pick one that is the most important. But I think we did manage to take control quite early, because I think we were a little bit lucky in the unluckiness of getting so many people who were infected back to Norway.
Do you feel, is there a sense that the virus is under control, that things are sort of getting back to, it'll never be back to normal, but a sort of new normal?
It's a new normal. We are reopening the largest part of our societies. We will not be back to normal until we have a vaccine that will make sure that the most vulnerable parts of our society, persons in our society, is protected against the disease. But we are reopening. We have a 3-step up now, up until the 15th of June, where all type of activities will be open, but there will be restriction on larger crowds. There will not be more than at least maybe up to 500 people on a football match. Of course, this is a severe situation for all football fans, but and of course music festivals and that type of gatherings are postponed for the whole summer season. But most of everyday life, the rest is going to be back to normal, with social distancing at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And children going back to school, I think it's very interesting what you've done is that you have spoken directly to children. You have had press conferences and you've had speeches talking to them specifically, which I think is a brilliant idea.
Well, we got a bit of sort of inspiration by a speech given by the Danish Prime Minister to children, and we decided to do a press conference for children together with a children's channel in the Norwegian broadcasting and a large newspaper, who got all of their viewers and readers to write in different questions, and we answered them on live TV. And I think this was also when schools were closed. So I think most young people in Norway were looking at television that day as part of their homeschooling. And I think it was quite effective also to address seriously children, because children are really affected by this. They were not allowed to see their friends. They were not allowed to do their sports activities, and they were not going to ordinary school, but were digitally schooled. So they needed an explanation and needed to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely brilliant that you did that. I think it's something that we should have been doing as well. I think it's a terrific idea. Your neighbour, Sweden, have taken a very, very different approach, as we know. They've hardly changed their behaviour at all, really. And the number of deaths there is very high. It's almost 4,000 now, we believe. How are you feeling, and how will you be moving forward to change the situation with the border between your two countries? Is that closed right now, and will that be reopening anytime soon?
Well, Norway has a close border to all other countries except for people who are working. We have quite a lot of day travelers to work in Norway in the border areas from Sweden to Norway. They've been allowed to come. to work. Those who are on a longer term work here have to go into quarantine. And this is the same rules for Swedes as for all of the rest of people who are coming here. But tourists are not allowed. But we are now talking to other Nordic countries on how to reopen in this bubble, as you know, the European Union have said, try to do close by countries. And we are looking at how can we do this. The border areas in Sweden that are close to Norway has a lower number of people infected. It's very much concentrated around the Stockholm and the municipalities and counties around Stockholm where there's a high infection rate. So we are trying to find ways of opening before summer, but not moving the spread of the disease more. And there will be different measures in Sweden than the rest of us because they have higher numbers. They have more internal restrictions on traveling, for example. And of course, there are some Norwegians that would like to go to their cottages in Sweden, and they will have to adhere to Swedish rules and regulations.
Interesting, and we mentioned this earlier, and we just saw the New Zealand Prime Minister being extremely calm while she was doing a live interview, and there was an earthquake going on, which kind of sums her up, really, I think. But when you look at other countries like Taiwan, Iceland, Denmark, they all have female leaders. Do you think that women have actually handled this better than, say, their male counterparts?
Well, I would love to say that was the case. But I know my social sciences and political sciences well enough to know that there might be a different type of reason for this. Maybe there are women leaders in countries that have a different type of acknowledge of leadership and maybe a flatter structure and more trust in a society, meaning that they're not looking for that leader type that men or sometimes have. And that is also easier to get people to work together and respect the rules and regulations and the social distancing. So it might not be an individual female leadership role, but it might be that societies that elect women leaders are a little bit different societies.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Prime Minister Solberg, we really, really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. Thank you so much for talking to us this morning. Great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.